Hey, totally stoked to have you watching. Oh, I love this series. Phenomenal. Vacation, rest, and relaxation. I think it's phenomenal to talk about rest and vacation, particularly relaxation in July. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And it's a time of the year when it's nice to be outside, especially when it's cooler in the evening, and really have some exhale, pause. You know, I think when we think about rest, it's actually a very significant principle because, and you can see it throughout all of nature, right? If you think about bears in the wintertime, they hibernate, and then in the spring, they're out of hibernation, they kind of wake up, if you will. So you can see rest in nature. I think winter is its own version of rest. Everything kind of pauses and settles down, takes a break. You also see the principle of rest when you lift weights. What do you mean by that? I took a weightlifting class and I didn't really like lifting weights until I took the class. But I learned that you're supposed to do like 10 or 12 repetitions and then you do sets. So like 10 repetitions and 3 sets of 10. And in the sets, you do the 10 repetitions, whether it's a bench press or leg press or whatever you're doing, bicep curls, triceps, whatever you want to call it. Then you pause. You take a break and you let your muscles recover. And then you do your next reps. And what you're doing is, as you're doing those repetitions, you're making your muscles get tired, you're wearing them down. So by the time you finish your third set, in theory, your muscles are exhausted to the place where they recover, and as they recover, they become stronger than when you started. That's the principle of it. And so this idea of rest is built into the counterpoint of work and rest. And as we think about a biblical example, I love this. The first example in the Bible of rest is God. God rested on the 7th day of creation. Read about this in Genesis chapter 2. And as you read through Genesis chapter 1 and 2, God creates the heavens and the earth. Then God separates the light from the darkness. Then God separates the land from the water. And then God starts to populate fish in the sea, animals on the land, birds in the air. God makes vegetation, so now we have grass and leaves and vines and trees. And then at the very end, on the 6th day, God made man. I love when God makes man. Literally, God gets his fingers in the mud and shapes and sculpts a human statue, and then God breathes into his nose, his nostrils, the breath of life, and man becomes a living being. Love all of that. And all of the work that God did creating the universe, the culmination is humankind. All of us, all 2 billion of us. I mean, there's a boatload of us now. But after God made the pinnacle creation, humankind, it said God rested. And the first day of man's existence was God's day of rest. And I love that. God rested on Adam's first existing day. God was not distracted off busy creating more things and disinterested and, okay, God, Adam worked out and then we'll move on to the next thing. No, God rested. And I think a lot of times in rest, it's also the place where we can have relationship. And I would suggest that God created everything so that he could rest on that 7th day and have relationship and connection with Adam, his most important creation. I think it's a really powerful thing to consider, that rest is an integral necessity and very essential for us with God. If we're always on the gerbil wheel of work, busy in the ministry, putting offering envelopes in, cleaning the sanctuary, just run. But if we don't hardwire into all of that consistent rest, if we don't take pause and connect with God, then we get ourselves on a gerbil wheel, we're burned out, and we never are connecting with our author, our core identity, God. We're made in the image of God. And if we don't have that ground zero relationship, connection with God, then we will find ourselves frazzled, chasing the wind over and over and over. Because God has wired and given us the example that rest is an important ingredient of our human existence. So important. If God is important enough for God to rest, then I would suggest it's important for you and I to rest, to have some exhale. Take a break. Fall asleep reading a book. worse things could happen. Oh, hold on just a second. I have a great joke for you. I really like this one. Actually, might be my favorite one for this whole series. So, why did the tired tourist go to Romania? Why did the tired tourist go to Romania? So he could book a rest. You're like, I don't get it. Bucharest is the capital of Romania, so Bucharest, get it? Tired tourist. I know, right? Like your geography now, that's what we're doing? I know, but let's get back to something a little bit more meaningful. So, as we think about rest, and in this series, I'm really excited because next week, we're going to talk about when is work rewarding.